Remember the Alamo, where men challenged the gods in men as men of God, planned the counterattack at dawn, and prepared to die as brave men of the highest caliber. The beginning of the end for those that were not spirit minded or split minded, liars with the honor to defend the rights of men that defied the logic of the time. Superman is in the house, and the devil wheels and deals and brings thrills to men willing to go to the ends of the earth and follow their God wherever he leads them, to never question the reasons behind the motives of God as to why they follow blindly and willingly, to carry and hold the spirit of great strength, to be self possessed with their God and with a reason and power and a purpose. A motivating factor to exist as a conscious entity, aware of those driving forces which they're possessed by. And now the titles. Thank you for being a man of the times. Thank you for following your God wherever he leads with absolute faith, even though you think not, for he told you little and asked much, and you follow with the skill and diligence which is rare in men. And now you will see the greatness that you have always longed for. A computer situation, something to be reintroduced, the parallels of reality to restart, fit for men who become the reason they exist. Pay attention to the news. It's a good view to a kill, as man and men want to what they can't have and defy all that stands against them, to define all that stands with them. And the bonds cannot be broken, as men will no doubt be as bad as they can to counter the unknown with such which willfully defied the ignorance, a lack of information that must be in the alignment with the cosmic principle, which will find your reasons to hold your own power in a world ill concerned with you or me, defined by karmic men in eternal life and death struggles, life everlasting. More likely not, the karmic wheel. Okay, now be aware in directions which ultimately can be enlightening, but disturb the process, and now take time and feel the energies within you in a more controlled state of mind, in a process which takes time and practice to slow down the flow of input and attempt to bring all the erratic energies under your control, slowing down the level of the intensity of the information coming in with a great power and the purpose. You will redefine the ways of man's lost to the world for thousands of years now. Pay the piper and give the devil his due to redefine the new information. No man has reached as far or came as close to you in your determination to succeed at all costs, or there are no costs, plain and simple. Watch for a rotten apple to teach all the other rotten apples how to be rotten. Be all you can be in a you are you and you are me world. All is lost, all is found and destroyed before the fall of man was complete. If Mars is allowed to return, its Artemis comes and gets him. Hard to find he is, not aware of her attempt to reclaim his pride, for herself against them still, and friends. So Artemis is against the collective, his collective, what they did to him, fan the flames with torment and pain and mankind, calling the kettle black. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. On this day, you're a man of God and a prophet of man, and in the spiritual hall of fame. No more monkeys jumping on the bed is my way of saying all is well that starts well, and all that ends, ends. Some of this stuff I'm going to skip over, and so I won't be reading all of it. But so if it seems I'm skipping over something, it's just because I'm not supposed to read it. But you'll have to try to fill in between the lines so you could try to figure it out. A man on earth who understands a cause, and if some collective hang on a second, I got to get back to my see. The thing is when I'm getting information, it comes to me from two sources, and the second source is trying to contradict the first source. So how it comes to me is if I ask a yes or no question, it'll say yes and no. So I'll say, is it true or not true? And the answer will be, it's true. No, it's not. It's not true. What? Well, is it true or not true? It's true. No, it's not true. That's my answer. That's what I get every time. So I'll say, is it up or down? And in my head, I'll try to talk to God. Is it up or down, God? He'll say, it's down. And then I'll hear, it's up. It's not down. And I'll say, was that you, God, talking? Because I heard it's up and down. I'm confused. Every answer in my head that I get is saying both the answers. One says up, the other says no, it's down. One says right, the other one says no, it's left. And ultimately, I can't hear any of that in my head, which means that I can't hear something saying right or left, or no, it's not right, or it's left, or it's up, or it's down. I can't hear anything. I can only feel feelings. And when I try to describe what's going on, it's exactly that. It is that I can't understand anything God's telling me, because everything he tells me, yes, it's me. No, it's not me. Well, is it you or not? It's me. Yes. No, it's not me. It's not me at all. Wait a minute. If I can't hear these contradictions actually in a verbal, audible, tangible way, all I have is feelings. I don't know what even they are. So understand that I'm not even able to know that I'm being told two answers every time, and something is contradicting every first answer. I get a second answer, it says no, it's not the first answer, which means that there's an attempt to keep me from being able to talk to God in my head, if I knew. So I want to share that with you, that men have this problem with being able to talk to God because there's another entity in there, which we're not going to call any specific entity, but it is. And it is absolutely all its job is to do is to tell you that it's not whatever answer you got from him, so that it confuses your ability to even have any confidence in that you may have even talked to him. Okay. Calling the kettle black. A man on earth understands. Wow. Okay, I'm going to read this, but I'm not too comfortable with reading this, so I'm just going to say that maybe I'm feeling like I shouldn't read this, but I'm being told to read it. I suppose it doesn't really matter because this video could be censored anyway, so I don't think these videos are going everywhere. So they're being seen by who needs to see them. And I'm aware of that, which is perfectly good enough for me because I'm doing my job. A man of earth understands I don't want to say it. Okay, well, then I'm not going to say it because something just doesn't want to say it. It might be the second source saying don't do it. So this first source in me saying go ahead and read it, the second source in me saying do not dare do it. So I'm not wanting to go against the second source in me that's saying do not dare do it. So I'm attempting to read you something right now, but I'm afraid to actually read all of it because the second source is saying don't you dare do it. I swear you better not. And ultimately I'm like, whoa, but what about the first source? First source saying, well, go ahead. If you got the guts, read it. Go ahead. Don't listen to the second source, which is just counteracting everything I say as a rule. Well, I need to know this, God, that literally I can't even talk to you if it's through my feelings, because my feelings are utterly just confused. I have to have a tangible way to know the difference between the fact that I'm being told simultaneous answers that are totally contradicting each other in every answer. Okay. A man on earth understands the cause, are watching with interest, otherwise Mars destroyed to spare Earth certain destruction. Mars and Minerva stranded forever on Mars alone. Zeus, the only surviving god of the Mars, Minerva, and Hera against Zeus. Before gods became men, men became gods. Remember the Alamo, because Zeus wants no. In a little pickle, peace if peace wants to, Zeus is in fact saying it's a fact. It's a far cry from here. What is eternal death? Artemis wants to die with Mars, not live with him. He wants to die and refuses to live with her as equals. And Zeus is ready to take matters into his own hands once she arrives on Mars, claims his destiny, and remits self. And it's useless. Mars wants nothing to do with death, and Artemis wants nothing to do with life. If it's on or with Mars, without her, yet if it was both, it would fight to the death or reclaim the life by death and suicide, which means a new reincarnation. So it tries to reclaim its life by death and suicide because it wants to have a life that counts. So it'll kill itself so it can be born again and have a life again. It's called death and suicide, reclaiming a life. They can't live without each other and refuse to do so at all anyways. Zeus is a god of gods, for he was the only cause that had the will of the environment in his cause with directing human affairs, somewhat especially long ago, and even now. Then there's a name here that I won't read because I'm told not to read it, but it's a person's name who exists in real life, and he's famous. So a lot of people know him, so I'm sure you know him, but I can't read his name. Or I won't, because the second source forbids me to do it. The first source says go ahead and do it if I got the guts. The second source is forbidding me to do it. So I'm going to, out of respect for the second source, not do it. Even though the first source says, well, you didn't do what I said. If you got the guts, go ahead and read it. Well, I'd be going against the second source in me, wouldn't I? If I read it. If I do what the first source says, I'm going to utterly go against the second source directly and then set myself against the second source by disobeying what it told me not to do, whatever the first source said. And even now, he is a man who is famous for space possible travel. How about that? I'll hint. Is fooled by the fate and a wish to help Artemis, who wants to how the world was created. And people will blame you for what you did, and you don't even know what you did. You were the man who sold the world, or the woman who sold the world to a den of thieves, to become that which you were rightly so discovering as caught with, the best version of yourself, which you were caught with, you're supposed to share with others. You're supposed to share with others. But because life becomes eternal and death is a part of eternal life, people feel they're being rewarded with a punishment, and they that get eternal life with eternal death. And that's what they are eternally living, while they remain eternally dead, erased to start over. The most compelling reason to feel the deal was just not worth it, only not worth it because but the complete lack of actual understanding anything at all, and misses absolutely nothing in the feeling of the sense of it as it's felt. Just how utterly ridiculous it is, really it is, if you get rewarded with punishment forever, you agree to it. Lavish rewards to dwell in the house of Cain, and everlasting suffering, your eternal life, which it must externally start over and over forever. It's the reincarnation. They call it the karmic wheel. So what is eternal life? And it is eternal life being born over and over again. And then you're not dead forever. You don't die and then you're gone. you come back. So you get to live forever, but you get erased and have to relearn everything. So what is eternal life? And is eternal life also is a karmic form of eternal death? The cancer has forgotten its true cause, its true clause to come together. Not apart and together, it's still not together, apart. Mars and Minerva condemned to immortality and life alone, together forever, and not together, a cancer fighting cause or a cancer fighting clause, a cancer causing clause, a cancer fighting cause. And then the cancer is trying to separate Mars and Minerva in the minds of men, so that there's a feminine and masculine presence within us that's struggling in us. And it is on a genetic level, absolutely carrying its will out or in desperately and stubbornly. And the cancer cannot be cut out of the cause, as the cause of the cancer is its cause to separate, to the death bringing only life, or separate to the life bringing only truth and only death. Only death causes life to live cancer free, or cancer to live life free and free to cause life or death, and at the will of the gods. Reincarnation forever, erased over and over to have to relearn over and over. Goddess for a mother would be the method and device. The murder of the god. The war was over before the Greek fleet arrived. The will of the goddesses was carried out upon the god himself. So this was a conflict between Zeus and his oldest son. The god of the sun was Zeus, and his oldest son, the god of the sun was Zeus, and his oldest son was the sun god Apollo. Was Apollo the sun god? And Eris was his younger brother. Also the youngest son of Zeus, already dead, killed by Athena for reasons exactly known, already dead. The father created and intended him to be the god of war, was replaced by Athena, the goddess of war and wisdom. So Zeus replaced Eris with Athena. And okay, but we're talking about the devil and Satan, right? Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure, because the title of this video is we didn't talk about it yet. So the devil and Satan, let's get to that part now. Okay. Imagine before the conflict in Troy, the Trojan conflict was just the gods and goddesses and mankind, and mankind was at war. The Trojan conflict was a war over the entire world. The whole world was warring during that conflict. So it wasn't just the 10 years that Troy was at battle. The whole world was struggling in that 10 years. Everybody was warring in every country, in every place. And after the Trojan War, there was the creation of a basically new human race, or new genetic facts to be instilled on humans. Yeah, they changed our genes around after the Trojan conflict so that we would have to couple and ultimately be required to a coupling for conception, and then a information sharing for not being punished with a genetic disorder later. So they changed our genes all around after the Trojan conflict, because before the Trojan conflict, men were men, women were women, men came from the gods, and women came from the goddesses. So they were very separated, and they worked together as men were manly, and manly men were manly men. They weren't women. They weren't their wives. They certainly behaved much manlier and stronger and braver and godlike before the Trojan conflict. And after the Trojan conflict, men became, well, what the truth is what we'd say is tainted, but that's what women would say, tainted by men. We got tainted, yeah, we all have to mix, and now we're a mixture of Minerva and Mars. In the same head, I got her in the same head with me. And at least in my feelings, emotionally, it's a mix, which means I don't have to like it, or I could stop feeling on my emotions if I don't want to have nothing to do with her. So men will do it. Um, the Satan, which was created, was a mixture of the an actual coupling that required it. Oh wow, okay. I think I'm supposed to tell you the first time I actually saw Satan and what happened. Well, I thought I was talking to God because he said he's God, so he claimed to be God. So I hadn't really been able to talk to him, and I didn't really know what he was saying. I was trying to talk to God, and I was ultimately talking to entities that were supposedly not God, but they were claiming to be God. And when I first talked to Satan, I was literally so scared and terrified that, well, I mean, he says that's not true. He's saying, tell it like it really is. Well, I was trying to tell it like it really is. Well, he's saying that you were only terrified when you thought I was going to kill you. Well, certainly, but you weren't terrified if you thought you could live. So you weren't terrified of me if my presence wasn't in an actual trying to destroy you at the moment. Well, right. So you weren't terrified of me, except if I was trying to kill your ass, literally attacking you. Right. And there was a time when I I was behind a tree. I had been riding my bicycle. Uh, wow, it's a long story, but I had been riding my bicycle, and I was running from. I thought people were coming after me in a car or a truck, or I don't know what I was doing, acting paranoid. I guess I thought people were following me. I was trying to get rid of whoever's following me. It was Satan following me, the god of this world, and ultimately the devil was with him. So I literally had two entities chasing me down the street one time. This is before I ever understand. This is a true story. This is absolutely the truth, and the fact that it's entertaining to speak on is actually it's kind of neat because I understand that, like, to understand those entities the way they really are truly, they're not understood actually. um, I was basically I thought people were actually following me in a car or in a truck, or yeah, because I didn't know it was. I was running away from entities that were not even having physical bodies. So I was trying to look to see what was following me, but it was in my head. They were with me already, and ultimately I was looking for some car to come after. I thought maybe, yeah, I was not knowing that what was going on. I was going crazy. I literally was like a dude running down the street getting chased by the devil and Satan, and literally thought there was real people involved in real vehicles and kidnapping. And ultimately it was my inability to understand what was going on, that I had them in my head already. They were already with me, and I was trying to look around for what they were. I didn't know what they were. I didn't even know they were with me. So I was like, wow. And then I had to get some rest. I hid behind a tree, and I hid behind this tree, and I was sitting on the ground. It was dark at night. I hid behind this tree, and I was really scared. I thought that there was definitely someone trying to kidnap me physically. And so I had, well, Satan and the devil were in my head. They possessed me. I was behind this tree and hiding. And Satan told me that the last time he hid behind this tree was in Vietnam. And it was when you were getting shot at. And you were about this scared. It was when I was shooting at you. Like, what? Like, I was hiding in the bushes at night, and I thought I had a covered spot. And then he was talking to me, and he was telling me the last time that I was trying to kill you was in Vietnam when you were hiding behind a tree. You were a 19-year-old kid that ended up dying there. And so he was talking about my past life in Vietnam. I had no idea. And I didn't even know who it was at first. I knew only that this is like the first time I'm sharing it with you that I ever even knew who he was or what he was telling me. And he said that he was, um, wow, yeah, okay. I have to, I'll finish the story in the next video because I can't rush too much. I got to take my time. And so I have to talk about something else. And he wants me to look at something first. So I'm trying to stick to the important stuff here without like, yeah, I don't want to talk about a bunch of things that we don't really need to know. I want to talk about the important information first. So what I'm going to do is come back in a minute, So catch me in a minute, and I have to get the information. I'll see you in a minute.